All right guys, in this video we're going to be discussing the rear leg and more specifically how to control it during your swing, okay? Because I see a lot of videos from a lot of guys who have a really hard time controlling the rear leg. They're lunging forward in their swing, but they're also not training in a way that's conducive to actually learn how to coil, how to load, so that way you have way more time to hit, okay? So in this video we're gonna be breaking that down. We're also gonna cover how to warm up, specifically how to warm up the rear leg so you learn how to load it better and the whole nine. So there's gonna be a lot of details in this video, especially for those of you who are really seeking to learn HLP. All right guys, so right now we're gonna start with med ball throws, okay? But I'm all for warming up with some med balls. We don't do them every day here, we do them once in a while, especially for new guys who are trying to learn the feel of the rear leg, okay? Now when we do med ball throws for our hitters, we're not exaggerating hip shoulder separation, okay? We're also not trying to increase power. That's just something people try to sell you whenever they sell you like a med ball program or a strength conditioning program. They say that these little things increase your power, but they don't. They're not a big enough stimulus to actually teach you how to produce force faster. It's not a thing, okay? But nonetheless, we still use them, all right? So for this video, I'm using a little 4-pound med ball. I'm not using anything drastically heavy. And what I'm trying to do is learn how to load my rear leg and then unload my rear leg. I'm not trying to exaggerate more hip shoulder separation. I'm not trying to just throw the hell out of the ball, plant my front foot and then push hard against it and then throw the med ball like that, okay? So what we're gonna do is what I call a stretch and fire, which is where we're 3/4 open, all right? So to start, I'm gonna have 99% of my weight on my rear leg, okay? My front foot's just gonna be 1%. It's just there to be there. It's gonna do whatever it needs to do. My focus on this is to load around my hip socket, right in here, around my rear leg. So when I'm doing that, I'm taking this back right pocket, if the pitcher's over there, I'm taking it to the pitcher like that, okay? I'm not letting my knee move. I feel like my foot's really screwed into the ground. So when I'm doing that, I'm coming around like this. Now this is the most important part of this. I want the ball and my leg to be together, okay? I want them to be together. You'll notice that when other people are doing med ball like scoop tosses and things like that, prior to their hitting, which this doesn't make sense, is they'll do a scoop toss like this, they'll go up against their front foot, fly completely out of their rear leg and then throw the ball just to throw the ball as hard as possible. Later in this video, I'm gonna talk about why that is not conducive for a high level swing and why training for hip shoulder separation actually takes down your time in order to actually launch your barrel, okay? But for right now, we're just gonna talk about the med ball throws. So when I'm doing this stretch and fire drill, 99, 1, around my rear leg. Now where I'm throwing this ball also matters. I don't wanna throw it across my body like this and have my hips rotate hard this way. I wanna throw it away from my body. So I'm thinking throwing it up towards second base, okay? If home plate's here, mound's over there, I'm throwing this ball towards second base. So this is gonna be the first drill, just like this. Around the leg, out towards second base. Now this next one is much more difficult. This is a Flamingo med ball throw. Okay, now when we're doing this one, you're gonna just get in this little flamingo stance like this, okay? For a lot of guys, it's gonna be easier for them to cheat it just a little bit and go 3/4 open, kind of like what we're doing with the stretch and fire here, or I guess that'd be 3/4 closed, okay? So you can have your foot a little bit like this. For me, I'm actually gonna do that. It's a little bit easier for me to coil that way. I'm gonna start flamingo like this. Now I'm gonna do the same feel that I had in that stretch and fire. Okay, back right pocket, if the pitcher's over here, towards the pitcher like that. And I'm gonna do the same type of throw at that 45-degree angle. Okay, so up like this, around my leg, and then I'm gonna throw it. Now you'll notice when I did that, I had all of my effort around my leg, okay? And then when I launched it, everything was out from me, all right? What I didn't do, which I see a lot of new guys do when they're trying to learn how to hit off the rear leg, is they'll try to just throw it as hard as they can. They'll get up here like this, go around, slip it, and then throw it like that, okay? All that, you're not learning in that moment how to unload from the rear leg. All you're teaching yourself to do is to slip the rear leg, slide forward, and then throw the ball as hard as you can, which is not what we want to do, okay? All right, so for this one, it's a reactive med ball throw. So this is a little difficult because we got the camera guy actually recording and throwing the med ball at the same time. So for this one, I'm gonna go no stride, pitcher's here, now I'm lined up front and center just like I'm hitting, okay? But no stride means I'm still 99% and 1 on my toe here. You can go as wide as you want, okay? But the wider you get, the easier it is to like squat this instead of coil and just be in this weird 50-50 spot. I don't wanna start there, okay? So for me, I'm 99 flamingo, and then I'm right here. Now, when he throws this ball, he's gonna throw it kind of towards my back hip so that way I can catch, coil, and unload them together. I'm still launching this ball at that 45 degrees towards second base, okay? Let's see if you can do it, Joel. Go ahead. Right here, just like that. You'll notice that I didn't catch it, go forward, slip my hip, and then huck it as hard as I can against my front foot. My front foot does what it needs to, not worried about it. All I'm trying to feel is the coil and uncoil. That's it. All right, so I know I got a lot going on this board, but I'm gonna break it down as simple as possible, okay? The idea behind this drawing is to just make it very clear to you how much time you do not have as a hitter and why having a quality high-level swing technique is so valuable to help you make better decisions and to help you be on time more often, okay? So this pitcher, let's just say he throws 90 to 95 miles per hour, okay? Now, the distance between the mound and the catcher is gonna be 60 feet, 6 inches, okay, from mound to home plate. But after release, that ball is gonna be starting at about 55 feet, okay? So now you're only working with about 55 feet to play with as the hitter. A 90 to 95 mile an hour pitch takes about 400 milliseconds to get from ball release all the way to the catcher's mitt, okay? Now, that is not a lot of time because it takes your brain just to process what pitch is coming, where its location is, the whole nine, 80 to 100 milliseconds just to process it. It takes another 25 milliseconds for your brain to send the signal to your body that now it's time to swing, okay? So you make your decision to swing, okay? And then your body actually starts to swing. We call that launch quickness. So the timing between your decision to swing and the actual ability for you to start swinging, we want to take that number down as much as possible. And how to do that is in your technique, okay? I'll explain why in just a second. All right, the average swing time, how long it takes you to actually swing the bat, takes about 150 milliseconds. So out of those 400 milliseconds that you have to play with, after doing all of this, you don't really have a lot of time, okay, at all. And just to put it into more perspective, it takes you about 300 to 400 milliseconds just to blink your eyes. So you could literally blink and miss the pitch completely, okay? So imagine now if I'm a hitter and I have to get my front foot down, have a firm front side, brace before contact, and then push my arms across my body in order to hit, right? So I make my decision to swing. I say, okay, here comes the pitch. I've assumed where it's gonna be at. My anticipation is that it's gonna be in this location at this speed. So now your body starts to send the signal to your brain, starts to send the signal to your body like, hey, I'm gonna swing now. And as you start swinging, you have to get a lot of stuff done, okay? Because you don't have a high level technique, you have to reach out, get your front foot down early, brace against the front side, slot your elbow, and then push your arms across your body. How likely do you think that's gonna play at that level? Probably not unless you're genetically gifted with amazing hand-eye coordination. Now, obviously, there are people who push their way to the big leagues with not that great of swings. But if you're watching this video, most likely that is not you, okay? So, like I said, the whole importance to this is just show you how much time you don't have. So now imagine you're a different kind of hitter. You have a high-level technique that allows you to make your decision to swing and immediately swing. So cutting down that time, that launch quickness time, that you originally were playing with that is extremely long if you have to do a lot of other stuff in order to actually get your barrel into the zone and swing. Imagine if you could take that time down now. Now you have a little bit more time to play with in here to make better decisions, okay? But the only way to do that, in my opinion, unless somebody comes up with another way, is to learn how to hit off of the rear leg, not against the front foot. Because the amount of time it takes me to plant my front foot, go forward, brace my front side, hit against my front leg, cut my barrel across my body, it takes drastically too much time, okay? It was the downfall of my career, all right? And so when you're hitting off of your rear leg though, and you have a hand pivot that turns the barrel behind you, now you have room to play with. You have barrel depth behind you. You have a rear leg that when you decide to swing, you actually have the ability to immediately start your swing. Not, okay, I'm swinging, shift, weight, front foot down, brace front side, push across my body. Takes way too much time. Time that you do not have to play with. So that's why in our medicine ball drills and in the drills I'm about to walk you through over there on the tee, we want to try to train this rear leg as best as we possibly can, okay? Because if you get a hitter more time to hit, they will become a better hitter. I don't care whatever their upper body's doing, at least if you give them more time to hit, they will be a better hitter, okay? Now, obviously, I believe that if you have this pivot point and then the top hand pivot point as well, or I shouldn't say top hand, just the hand pivot point as well, I think you'll be a great hitter. At least you'll get closer to your potential to be great. Not all of us can be great. Not all of us can play this game at a high level, but the goal is that we give ourselves the best odds to do so. So that's what this video is for. Now we're gonna go over into the cage and walk you guys through some of the drills. Okay, so to drive that point home that I just talked about on the whiteboard, okay, now imagine that he's about to get to ball release, he's at ball release, I decide right now, foot in the air, time to swing. I go forward, plant my front foot, brace my front side, slot my elbow, push against my body, okay, push my arms against the front side of my body in order to hit. That takes drastically more time than ball's in the air, or sorry, he gets ready, gets to ball release. I decide to swing right there with my foot in the air, rear leg turns, barrel turns, and I'm on plane with the ball. Immediately, I buy myself time with depth, and I buy myself time because I have the ability to launch from my rear leg as opposed to against my front foot, taking down how much time I have to actually make a better decision to swing. So regardless of your thoughts on HLP, that should make logical sense to you, right? All right, so the first one I always start off with, especially with new guys, is the stretch and fire. There's a few different ways to do it. Most people benefit from just 3/4 open like this. Other people benefit from being all the way open. Now, I don't have a labrum in this hip. It was actually really hard for me to learn the rear leg initially when I first started, okay? So for me, I'm much more comfortable being 3/4 open. I don't have the room in my hip socket to continuously get around any more than right here, and I'd like to be around just a little bit more in order for me to get to this pitch right here, okay? But I want you to notice something, where this T is at for my stretch and fire stuff. If you push the barrel across your body and lunge forward, this never ends with new guys who we onboard with us, whether remotely or in-house. They always have the T super low and way out front, like drastically too far out front. Reason being, anything high or deeper in the zone is almost impossible for them, and it feels really, really bad because they push against their body. Because they have to go forward with momentum, plant the front side, slot the elbow, and then push. The only time they're gonna be on plane with this thing is way out there. So that's where they have to put the T. For us, it's usually a shock for new guys when they start with us, is we sometimes start with the T in line with our back hip, sometimes even behind us, and then other times kind of right in front of us. But we hardly ever have the T way too far out in front of us, because that just, it's not conducive for training a swing that we want to have depth with, okay? So when we're doing the stretch and fire, I'm going to start 3/4 open, okay? But you have a couple different stances that I already talked about that you can choose. Same thing that we did with the med ball, right? Standing on top of this rear leg, toe down. Now from here, I'm going to make sure that my knee doesn't move, okay? Reason being, I don't want to think that I'm just going to externally rotate and squat this coil, okay? Squatting into it and hinging into it is not the same thing as being on top of it and going around it, okay? So right now, I feel wound up. So much so that if I pick this front foot up, I feel like my leg has the ability to turn me, okay? You don't get that feeling, that wound up, coiled feeling, if you're hinging it or squatting it like this. All I feel when I pick my leg up is that I'm just like stuck back here, okay? So for new guys trying to learn this who try to like penny pinch on their training and not get guidance, that's usually what they come in doing, is they start like super just over the leg, okay? And they have no like concept of coiling. So if you just start on top of this leg, your first move when you decide to go is gonna be to get out in front of that leg, okay? I don't want that to be my first move. I wanna feel like right when I start to turn my barrel, my leg is moving with my barrel on this. Only way to feel that, be wound up. All right, so for this swing, I'm gonna start 99% on this leg. Nice little athletic bend in my leg, okay, not too much. And then toe down. From here, back right pocket towards the pitcher, on and around. Now it's really important, I feel fused, okay? I feel like my barrel is connected to my leg, my chest, my rib cage is connected to my leg, everything is connected to it, okay? So when I decide to swing, I'm gonna go on one move, okay? Right from the get-go, one move, all right? So now I'm gonna demo it for you guys. On and around, launch. Okay, that feeling that I had every intention to take the second baseman's head off, but I wanted to be as quick as I could when I launch. Now, a lot of guys when they're starting on this swing, on this drill, they just blow past it. Usually younger guys. Older guys, pro guys that I've worked with, they understand the concept of time a little bit more in their training, so they're not just trying to get everything in, they're trying to feel everything really well. So I want to exaggerate pausing, okay? In this moment when I come around, I feel a stretch right up my back and around my leg, okay? I'm not gonna swing until I feel that stretch, because that's the same stretch I'm gonna have foot in the air in a game. That's the same stretch that I have right there. I wanna exaggerate that in every progression that I do to get ready for the day, okay? So a lot of new guys, they'll just start like this, and then they'll go around, and then they'll just whop and try to hit it as hard as they can. You're kind of missing the point, all right? It's gonna be a lot harder to learn this swing if you don't try to exaggerate. Okay, one unit on and around, feel the pause, feel the stretch, and then launch together from there. All right, so for this next drill, it's called the step back. I'm sure you guys have heard of it, but a lot of people do this wrong, okay? So when I do a step back drill, I'm taking a very small step back, and I wanna make sure that my first move when I step back onto my leg is back on and around, okay? I'm not stepping back to just go back here and then rush myself forward and hit against my front side. That's not the idea of this. So I see guys, when they're trying to chase the exit velo and bat speed, that's how they do the drill. They'll just jump back and then immediately just try to send it like that. Okay, when I do this step back drill, I'm gonna have the tee a little bit behind me. So that way, when I step back, now the tee is gonna be right in line with my front hip, okay? So I'll step back here, coil on and around. I wanna feel myself coil and stretch up the back as I do that, okay? So step back, coil on and around, and then I'm going to try to swing the front foot down. So for this next one, now we're gonna challenge ourselves to really hit rear-legged here, okay? I call it the Flamingo drill. I call it a few different ones, but the Flamingo is most popular in this facility right now, so that's what we're calling it. And the reason for it is because I'm just gonna start really plain and simple like a Flamingo. So you'll notice from where this ball is right now, it's lined up a little bit in front of me, okay? But while I'm doing this drill, I'm gonna be trying to do a few things here, okay? So I'm going to be stretching my front foot out away from me as I coil. Now though, the ball is gonna be right in line with my front hip when I choose to swing. The goal here though, just like the last drill and any other drill that we're trying to do, we're trying to swing the front foot down. Remember that little segment I talked about how much time we have? The goal is that our rear leg swings the front foot down. Okay, so you guys will see videos of your favorite big leaguers sometimes, depending on who they are, but you'll see a lot of videos of them launching from the rear leg. The toe might be touching, but it's not bearing load. It's not a stiff front side until this barrel has already started to launch, the rear leg's already started to turn, and then eventually it'll do what it needs to do. But again, we're not trying to plant it and then hit hard against that front side, okay? So for this one, we're gonna start up just like this, coil on and around, real slow, under control, and again, swing the front foot down. So for the sake of this video, we're only gonna do one more rear-legged drill. Reason being, we also have a bunch of other videos on our social media. I highly recommend you check them out on Instagram, on YouTube, the whole nine, TikTok even. But on YouTube, we actually have a really long format HLP video that goes into a lot of the rear leg stuff on there as well. You can click that link right up there if you're interested in watching it. However, for this drill, it's called the Happy Gilmore. Now, a lot of people do this wrong. A lot of people, their number one goal in here is to rotate hard, swing fast, high exit velo, high bat speed, okay? But like we talked about, just because you can hit it 100 miles an hour doesn't mean you're gonna hit it all the time, okay? The goal isn't just to hit the ball as hard as possible. It's to be able to hit the ball hard more often. So if you have to sacrifice this much bat speed in order to do that, you should do that because high averages do play. You wanna swing for a high average, you also wanna be able to put the ball out of the park. For us, we try to learn how to put the ball out of the park by hitting the weight room extremely hard, okay? And we tested bat speed for years, so we know that it works, all right? If you can bring up your physical abilities and bring a more explosive, stronger human over onto the baseball field, you will hit the ball harder. You will not swing slower, okay? So now that's beside the point. When we're doing the Happy Gilmore, it's a small step, okay? I'm not trying to have a massive, huge running start and just sell out for bat speed here. My goal here is to challenge my rear leg, okay? So as I start to create initial momentum, my goal is to counter my momentum and stretch up my back and around my leg, okay? Now there's three things that are happening here all simultaneously. I'm coiling around my back leg, okay? I'm stretching up my back and I'm going forward, okay? But I want a 1-to-1 ratio on all three of those things. So however much, for every inch that I coil, or however much I coil, is every inch or however much I want to go up the back. And that's also for every inch and however much I want to go forward in my swing. All right, guys, so that's gonna do it for the rear leg concepts of this video, but I wanna make something very clear. The rear leg, to get the most out of it, you want a barrel that feels like it's going to drop into your rear leg and your rear leg then takes it for a ride, okay? No matter how good you get at your rear leg, it's really important that we still create barrel depth behind us, all right? And then on the flip side of that, if you're just trying to do this and snap the snap more, but you have no rear leg, you're still gonna push your arms. And then that's also when you see a lot of guys actually dumping their barrel because they slip their rear leg and they're trying to do HLP, probably without a coach, and they'll slip their rear leg, dump their barrel, and then try to push it. That's usually why this swing gets a lot of hate. And most of the time it's because the instructors are not really teaching the swing. They're just taking bits and pieces of it and trying to throw it at athletes at all ages, okay? Which makes it really, really difficult. So again, we wanna make sure that this pivot point feels like the weight of this barrel head is dropping into a turning rear leg. The quickness comes from this, okay? That's where the quickness is. The power comes from this. So that way I have depth, I can choose when I wanna swing and immediately actually be able to swing without having a lot of slop in my swing, like putting the front foot down, slotting the elbow, rotating my hips east-west, and trying to push my arms through the zone, okay? So I hope that this information helped you. If it did, please go ahead, share it, go ahead, like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel, the whole nine. Thanks for watching.